Dear listeners, today on Reddit Audio Tales, we bring you the story of a husband navigating a series of challenges in his life. This heartfelt tale is shared from his perspective, so let's start. Throwaway because I know multiple people in my family have Reddit accounts. My wife, in our 7-year relationship, 4 dating, 3 married, has never met my father, stepmother, half-siblings, step-uncles, or my step-grandfather. My mother convinced my wife she didn't want any of them at the wedding or have any holidays with them the entirety of our relationship. My wife was cheated on in the past but moved past that, or so I thought. Well, my wife and I recently found out we're having our first child, but my wife is not excited or happy at all because my mother told her that my father cheated on my mother once she got pregnant. Yes, accurate, but it was before either of my parents knew my mother was pregnant with me. My wife is convinced that I'll cheat on her because she's pregnant. Very unlikely, as she's the most amazing woman I've met and no one can hold a candle to her on looks. My mother just says I'm my father's son, which really pissing me off. But because my wife hasn't met my father, she says that the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. She does trust me, she says she trusts me, but she cries every time my phone goes off. My stepmother, who I call Mama, says to not vilify my mother and be a supportive husband to my wife as I can be. She even bought me some stuff to pamper my wife with because she deserves to be loved and pampered like the beautiful woman she is, and how pregnancy is tough on women's bodies. I trusted the woman who was pregnant 3 times, once with twins. So, besides the obvious, how can I get my wife to calm down and enjoy her pregnancy? Or convince her that I will not cheat on her? I love my wife, she makes me whole, there will never be anyone but her. Edit. To add, my father and stepmother owned up to what they did to me years ago. They always apologize to my mother whenever they see her because she constantly brings two up. I'm almost 30, but my mother will not stop making jabs at my father about my stepmother. I'll see what I can do about that. Edit 2. Okay, message taken. Separate my wife and mother, currently looking for therapists, and going to break out a couple face masks so my wife will be in a good mood when I talk to her. Maybe give her a massage. But I need to talk to her and cut contact with my mom. Update 1. Okay, thank you to everyone who responded to my post. Me and my wife are grateful, and hopefully my head is firmly out of my ass. Firstly, my wife has joined an online book club with a lovely group of women who I have met. She's made friends, she's enjoying their book, the majority of them are moms, so they have plenty to talk about. With permission from my boss, I changed my work hours so we could spend more time together, and we've been talking a lot. She is much happier, and she's been talking to a therapist and me about her insecurities. It's a work in progress, but that is life, and our baby is developing very well due to reduced maternal stress. Secondly, I now call my stepmother by her first name. I don't call her Mama anymore. She wasn't upset at all. My wife has met my grandfather, SM's dad, and my uncles, SM's brothers. They got along real well. Especially since I got a pie to the face and they all laughed at me. Fair. I'm under the impression it was my grandfather's idea, but as long as she is happy. Her laughter is the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. My mother was told therapy or no contact. I was told she wasn't going because there wasn't a goddamn thing wrong with her. Her husband and daughters, my awesome sisters, are going to keep trying. My mother and wife have been out of contact since. My wife is a little upset, but because of this she's made new friends that when the world is better she can meet in person and they can dish on their husbands out of earshot. Kidding. Then someone in my DMs got into my head about the paternity, about my half-siblings, if they really are my fathers or not. So, I talked to my family about genealogy and learning about where our family came from. One of my uncles suggested we just make our own episode of Maury. Stepmother said it would be pretty boring, but whatever if that's what we want to spend our money and time on. Yes, my family is a little weird. So all us kids took tests. My sisters didn't want me to be left out. I mean, I had the test as a baby, no true surprises. 4 out of 5 kids matched. The one that didn't? Me. The one kid my dad was sure about. Several tests later they all agree. My dad isn't my biological father. Dad's upset, I'm upset. I haven't told my wife because I don't know how to really say it without sounding like a crazy person. And I still have emotions about the results myself. Me and my twin half-siblings could be triplets. I don't understand. I'm a little lost here. I'm overwhelmed. If anyone has anything for me, I'd greatly appreciate it. I'd love to ask my mother about this fun revelation, but she's not getting anything from me until she goes to therapy. My stepfather and sisters wouldn't know anything about it. So, if anyone has advice, I'm open to hearing it. Relevant comments. Comment. Well, I didn't expect that. Do all your siblings know as well? What was the reaction? I think the first step is to reaffirm the relationships you have in your life. Your dad, he is your dad in every way that matters. Your siblings too. You didn't ask for any of this and had no control over any of it. But you still have the same loving family you had before the test. Best of luck with everything. And take your time, Bobby. Luckily my uncle playing the part of Maury pulled me and my dad aside before he read it out loud. It worried the hell out of the rest of my family that was there. But once we told everyone, there was an upset. No anger, some tears, back-breaking hugs. My younger sister was the one to question if it was a fluke, so Dad and I did the other tests. Not a fluke, or way too many flukes. I was told my seat at the table isn't going anywhere, if anything it's going to get a pillow. Update 2. I wasn't expecting to make a trilogy out of this, I was just expecting some advice to help me with my wife. But thank you to everyone who has been helpful. I shall continue my epic. Before I begin, my dad and I went through with a paternity test through a doctor, no change. And, well, I did a genealogy kit and made the results public so I could try to find my father that way, and sadly nothing yet on that front. My wife has met my whole family, it's amazing, and she's talking about us renewing our vows so they could be there that time. Baby and virus permitting. I do like the idea. And my wife apologized to me about the hurtful things she said and the way she behaved. And even offered to have them paternity test our baby with a promise for the most boring paternity result ever. I.e. the baby being mine. I trust my wife, we're a team, and I love her. There will never be another person for me. I will take her up on her offer, but it's not because I think it will expose something, and I've told her just that. My stepfather reportedly gave my mother my paternity results. He told me she screamed that BTC. I believe that is a reference to my stepmother. She claims my stepmother tampered with the results of all the tests us kids took, to make my mother look bad because, and I quote, that skank couldn't close her legs for a cold breeze, she'll FXCK everything that moves. Things were thrown, and a lot of other things were screamed about my dad and stepmother. She is in definitely no contact with me or my wife. Her daughter, my half-sister, has been removed and is living with my stepfather's parents until her paternity results come back. My other sister is my stepsister, she's safe. Oh, and Mama, my loving stepmother, has busted the evil stepmother myth for my darling wife. Their relationship is relatively new, but those two plus my two sisters, Dad's girls, and my other two sisters have teased starting their own book club while they wait for baby to arrive. Or the world to right itself, whichever comes first. So, I think I'm okay. It's not perfect, not a fairy tale, but maybe an update when my sister's results come in, or if I get a hit on my genes, or I can leave you all in suspense. I can stop using this account and bothering the poor people on this subreddit. But when my boy is born, it will be hard not to tell you all about it. I don't know how to link my past posts as I'm on mobile, so I do apologize. But if anyone has any true further advice to offer me, I will be thankful for anything. Update 3. Okay, so I wanted to start my update with the happy news, but I thought I should start with the title because I am, well, furious. My wife was with my dad's family because my mother tried breaking into our house. So my mother found out my wife was staying there and basically tried to do the same. When she broke into my house, I did call the police, but they let her go with a warning. Even after I tried to press charges. She's your mom, you don't want to do that to her. Mother busted in a living room window to be confronted by stepmother. Mother busted stepmother over the head with my grandmother's urn. Dad called the cops, but not before my grandpa punched my mother. Mother and grandpa were arrested and taken to the station before I got there. Dad and one of my brothers went with stepmother while my sisters were consoling my wife until I got there. I immediately took my wife to her mother's house and stayed there while my uncles freed grandpa, who was having a grand old time since it reminded him of his military days, and he loved his military days. My stepmother is recovering, but given she's not that young anymore, it may take her some time to fully recover. Dad and I are pressing charges on my mother. Every charge we can get because I'm done. Anyway, I found my biological father's family. A wife and two sons. I have two half-brothers who were very surprised I existed. My father passed suddenly 3 years ago, so all that I have is his wife and sons. And I apparently look just like him. I'll never truly know his side of the story, but I know that he married his wife when I was 4 years old, and his wife has no idea who my mother is. They're very nice people who can't wait for all of us to meet in person. My little sister's paternity results haven't come back yet, that I know of. She's very busy these days. My wife has assured me that her and the baby are okay. I'm just unbelievably angry at my mother right now. So if anyone has anything they can give me, I'd appreciate it. Relevant comments. Comment. Grandpa sounds a weem. Bobby. They gave me a bed, uncle's name. And it was off the ground. I'd never had it so good when I was in the army. Not now, Dad. My uncle said this was said as they were leaving the police station. Comment. Grandpa didn't deserve to be arrested. Grandpa deserved a goddamn medal. Bobby. He says his daughter being home from the hospital will be reward enough. And his family being safe. We're chipping together to get my grandmother's urn, his wife by the way, replaced since it received damage. Comment. I used to think like that, till my friend started talking about her family and I realized the hidden context of these stories is usually meth. Bobby. Yeah, that would explain a lot. Dear listeners, if you ever find yourself in a similar situation, how would you handle it? Please share your thoughts and experiences in the comments section below. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, take care and I'll see you in the next story.